Hello all you super geniuses out there. Welcome to another video lecture from Super Genius 99. Be dealing with rational functions and inequalities. Let's just start off by reading the problem. Find the domain and x-intercepts. Okay, so quick review. What does it mean when a question asks you to find the domain? That's all the possible x values that will fit in this function. In other words, when we put in an x value, it will not give us undefined or undefined. So there's two things you really just have to worry about, and that is a negative under a radical, which is a non-real number, and then 0 under a denominator, 0 in the bottom portion of a fraction in the denominator, and that would be undefined. So undefined and non-real zeros. So since we're just doing rational functions, it's really, you just look for where is a function not defined. Okay, so here's this function. What would cause this function to be undefined? Obviously 0. So what would calculate a 0 here? Well, this case is just x equals 0. So since x equals 0 would have a 0 in the denominator, then our domain is all values except for when x equals 0. So how do you write that? So you can say x cannot equal 0. You can write it like that. What's another way to write it? So negative infinity to 0, union 0 to positive infinity. So that's another way of writing that. Okay. So that's our domain. Now, what's our x-intercepts? Well, your x-intercepts, you just take that top portion and set it equal to 0. So we're going to take that, we're going to set it equal to 0, and then just solve for x. So when you solve this for x, first thing you want to do is what? Yeah, factor out your 3. Okay, here you can divide by the coefficient, by both sides by 3. Okay, and then after that, you just have x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, and then if you add 3 to both sides, you will get x equals 3 as your as the intercept. Now that's the point, that's the x point. So then we need to write it in how would you say? In the ordered pair. So it's the ordered pair of x equals 3 as your intercept. Okay, so there's your x-intercept, and there's your domain. Let's look at another one. Okay, so we have another function on the board, 5x plus 10 over x plus 1. Okay, so first thing, let's find our domain. So our domain, we say, in order to find your domain, you take the denominator and set it equal to 0. Okay. And then solve for x. So solve for x, and what do we get? I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides to move that 1 over. So 1 minus 1 goes away. And then 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Okay, so our domain doesn't equal negative 1. That's what cannot equal. So our domain cannot equal, in other words, it's every number but negative 1. So how do we represent every number but negative 1? Okay. Negative 1, excuse me, let me write that a little bit. Yeah, so negative infinity, negative 1 union, negative 1 to infinity. Okay. So that is our domain. Now, what's our x-intercept? We just take the top and set that equal to 0. I'll do it over here. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is you notice 5 and 10 have a common factor, so factor it out. And then next, divide by that common factor to get rid of it. Okay, and then once you divide, what you're left with. Okay. Isolate the x value, isolate the variable. How do you do that? You have x plus 2, so you have to do the opposite operation. What's the opposite operation of adding? Yes, the opposite operation of addition is subtraction. So we're left with, yes, x equals negative 2. And to write that in intercept form, you do what? Write it as the order pair. So our x-intercept is negative 2, 0. And our domain is negative infinity to negative 1 union, negative 1 to infinity. So basically all numbers except for negative 1. Let's look at another one. So here we have our function as x plus 5 over x squared minus 4. Okay. So let's start out looking for the domain. And we establish finding the domain by taking what? Take our denominator, set it equal to 0. Okay, factor. Then you got two problems. Set those both equal to 0. Okay. And then solve them both for 0, so you can see you just add 2 on one side and then subtract 2 on the other side. Here, I'll give you the details for those who want it. Okay, and then continuing on, though that is what your domain cannot equal. So your domain has to be every numbers but 2 and negative 2. So you can write it like this. So domain is negative infinity to negative 2 union negative 2 to 2 union 2 to infinity. Okay. And then what is your x-intercept? That's just taking your numerator, setting it equal to 0. All right, now what's next? Just solve for it. Okay, so solve for this, you just do what? Subtract x on both sides. Sorry, subtract 5 on both sides. Okay, and then you're left with what? So that's the x value of our x-intercept. So how do you figure out what is the coordinate? Okay, there you go. Well, this has been another video lecture from Super Genius 99 on rational functions, inequalities, finding the domain, and the x-intercepts. Thank you for watching.